Hey guys,
Hi.
we are so excited to be here today. We want to talk to you about a new topic that we haven't gone over yet. But before we do, I'm Danny.
And I'm Britain.
We are sisters. We live in Utah. We are Disneyland enthusiasts who visit the parks often from out of state. We are also travel planners, so we can help you book your Disneyland or Disney World or cruise line vacation. We are here to help with that. So if you guys need help with anything like that, you know where to find us. And if you're here just for information as you're planning your trip, that's great too. We want to help provide you with any resources we can to help your trip be successful.
Yep. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think today we want to talk about the Disneyland app. So I know in the past you could usually go to Disneyland and just like show up and look at the wait times on the message board as you walk in and like walk up and order food when you feel like it, and you
You
go
get like a
get
paper
paper fast
ticket.
pass.
Yeah.
Like all the different things was just like way more low tech. Especially since COVID. I mean, even before, but especially since the app has become such like an integral part of how you're able to like function in the
Mm-hmm.
park. That if you aren't messing around with it at home before your trip and kind of figuring out getting your credit card information added in, uploading your tickets, all those sorts of things before your trip, you're going to have to be figuring that sort of stuff out boots on the ground. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to like when your kids are saying, "Mom, I want to go on this ride," or "I want this snack," or
And you're
but
like
you're like
downloading an app.
trying to figure out
Yeah.
how to like do technology stuff, which is dumb. So it's annoying, and it's not the. I mean, people hate downloading apps that they don't really want or need, but
You need this one
this
though.
one's important.
Yeah.
Um,
And on that vein, before I forget, because of how much you're using your phone in the park, you really, really, really need some sort of portable battery for your phone, especially if you are the primary person running the show of your fast or your multi-pass lightning lane situation, if you're the one scanning people in and out of the park, if you're doing the majority of the mobile ordering, all those pieces, you need to make sure you have like a external battery. So we get those off of Amazon. We have some in our Amazon store that we like to use that you can link to and check out in the show notes. But having some version of that will be vital. Like you
mm-hmm.
cannot get even the best, newest, highest battery, space phone isn't going to get you through a whole park day if you're using it all of those
And
ways.
then you also want to still take pictures of your family
Yeah.
and take videos, and you're still doing all the normal stuff on your
Mhm.
phone, calling to figure out where part of your family went in the park, and you're
Mhm.
still using your normal phone battery plus the app situation. So it's just important to have that external battery pack.
Yeah. So don't forget that. But that's surface. Should we get
Mm-hmm.
into the app itself? Let's talk
Yeah.
about what I made a little list so that we could kind of go over this, and we probably won't hit every topic in great detail. But the app, this is just so you know what you can find within the app if you're looking for it. It has a car locator. So if you have parked your car at the Mickey and Friends parking structure, you can choose the car locator in the app and mark down where your car is parked so you can find it again, what level you're on, what section you're in. So you're not like wandering around the parking structure at night afterwards because you forgot. So there's that. It has mobile order, which we'll go into detail on, and we have talked about it a little bit in our previous food episode as well. You can share barcodes with each other, like your ticket barcodes, and scan everyone's tickets. So, like, you and your partner could have you and all your kids' tickets on their individual apps. You can log in with your own login and then share that kind of information across. So you don't have to have like one
Account.
login for that. Britton and I, we scan each other's tickets sometimes, or if we're with friends, or we're doing multi-pass with other people that we're with. You want to be able to scan everyone's tickets together so you can all like get in the same ride together or whatever. So barcodes, the schedule for the day. You can find information about show times. Also, things like where characters are located throughout the park is also going to be in there. You can see wait times for all the rides. You can use PhotoPass, which is if you have Lightning Lane Multipass, it's automatically included, and that's like all the little photographer people throughout the resort. You can get photos from them and then you can upload them into your app. You can also get free ride photos if you have multi-pass, or if you're a Magic Key holder, that also applies to you. Um, Dining reservations are made within the app. You check in within the app. You can make your park reservations through the app and change your park reservations around. It shows you a park map where you can find restrooms and other important things like baby care centers, first aid centers, accessibility things. And that's also where you're going to get your virtual queues. So, like, right now, Haunted Mansion has a virtual queue that you can get into in the morning or midday. World of Color also has a virtual queue if you want like a pre-saved sort of section for World of Color. So those are kind of the major ones. Can you think of other ones?
If you are using the disability access services, that is all in your app. You're going to be scheduling rides through there.
Right.
But I think those are kind of the main things. I mean, park hours, show times, entertainment show times that maybe will change throughout the day. If there's any like early park closures, it will pop up notifications that are saying, remember, California Adventure closes at 6 p.m. tonight because it's Oogie Boogie Bash or whatever is happening. You'll tend to get little notifications like that.
You can do like mobile checkout. If you're like in World of Disney and there's a big old line, you can scan your items and do mobile checkout. It's really important to have your credit card attached to your app, both for mobile order and for that type of situation, and for making park or dining reservations, you have to reserve it with a credit card. So you're going to want that saved regardless.
If you have a Magic Band, the way to attach your Magic Band to your ticket is in the mobile app. So there's just lots of different pieces about it. You honestly, I don't know that you can be in the park without having.
I mean, in theory, you could.
You could take a paper ticket and scan it that you've printed out from home and take it in and
look at the wait time boards. There's like 2 or 3 spots where you can see posted wait times that change by the time you get there to the place you're at. You could walk up and wait in all the queues. You could ask a cast member when the parade is. You could do all those things. But your day is gonna be way less effective, which kind of sucks on the one hand that everything is so tied up in that, like, especially for people who maybe aren't very technologically savvy, or people who are coming from outside of the United States who maybe don't have like a great cell phone plan that's working here, or other things like that. Like, it's not necessarily ideal, but also the way that you can plan your day, if you know how to use the app correctly and your technology correctly, like multipass, really does make a huge difference in the overall value of your, that you can pack so much more into it. So you win some, you lose some, I guess. But it's a necessary evil at this point, regardless of whether or not you like it or prefer it. So let's talk about a few of those. Why don't you tell us about mobile order, dining reservations, and there was another one that kind of falls into that. Maybe it's just those two.
So if we've said this before and we'll say it again, if you learn nothing else from us, it's how to mobile order your food. Anytime you walk up to a quick service restaurant and wait in line, you have to wait however long the line is, and then you have to wait for your food to be prepared. And it just takes a long time. Your kids are starving, you're hungry, everybody's like lost their patience. And if you can plan ahead a little bit, you will just have such a better experience. So we recommend when you mobile order that you schedule it about an hour before you actually want to eat. Start thinking, when do we want to eat? Where do we want to eat? And start getting that booked out, because especially if you're wanting to dine at like high dine times, like right at noon or right just when people are normally wanting to eat. Just get it in your brain a little bit. Go in there and schedule it. You can move that time around in the app. You can cancel your order if you change your mind and decide we don't want to go there. You can do all of those things that you need to do. You can order more food. You can have multiple mobile orders rolling at the same time. We sometimes will mobile order for, some people want to eat at Pizza Planet and some people want Galactic Grill food, and we'll order both. And some people will pick up from here and then we'll meet over here and we all eat different things. But you can have multiple orders happening in your app all at the same time. So It's just makes it easier, so you don't have one person waiting in line here and one person here and one person here. Say, oh, food's ready, go grab it. Like it's just a little bit easier to like manage.
And you can also get those mobile orders if there's something in particular that is like a hot item. Like sometimes the seasonal desserts and stuff are like this, like gingerbread cookies during the holidays, Darth by Chocolate at Halloween. If those kinds of things are something that you really want to get at some point that day, but you don't want it at 8 a.m. because it's breakfast time, you can order right as the mobile order opens, which is actually at 7 a.m. in the morning, and grab whatever you need and schedule it out for 5 p.m. if you want. You can schedule it at any time, or like Brenton, I think you mentioned this, that you can bump it around a little bit. So like if you think you want something at noon, but you're really not hungry yet, you can push it at that point.
Or cancel it if you just don't want it.
Yeah.
So it's just important to have it. It's definitely flexible. It's super easy. You just check out with your credit card. You can pay for things with a gift card in the app. It doesn't save gift card information, which is kind of annoying, which we always say to in your notes app on your phone to like copy and paste all the numbers so you can just like copy and paste them back in when you pay if you want. But you can use gift cards, but again, they don't save. So it's all accessible through there. Same with your dining reservations. You make your dining reservations through the app. 60 days in advance is the soonest that you can get them. And you can get them you can watch for them up until, forever until your trip. And then you can also cancel up to 2 hours before is it 2 hours before
2
you
hours,
dine?
yeah.
So if
There's
you decide you don't want to,
with like bigger dining packages and stuff, but mostly it's 2 hours.
So if you decide you don't want to do a sit-down dining reservation, you just don't want the big meal, or you want to eat somewhere else, or you want to go back to your hotel and you don't want to, you can cancel those things 2 hours ahead of time. And that can all be done in the app. You don't have to haul yourself back to the restaurant and be like, oh, well, we had a reservation, but I think I want to cancel it. Just do it on your app, be done, move on with your day.
Yeah. You can also check in for your dining reservations there too. So it will pop up usually. That's the other thing that the app is good about. Like I think you mentioned some pop-ups, but throughout the day it will send you notifications for certain things. Like it'll tell you if like a lightning lane has changed or things like that through the app. But what I was going to say is it'll pop up a few minutes before your time to dine and say, it's almost time to dine. You can check in now, and you can go through on your phone and say if you have any special occasions you're celebrating. You can say if there's any allergies in your party. You can make any sort of special like preferences and requests that way. And then you put your phone number in if it's not already in, or the phone number of whoever you want it to be, and that person will be texted when your table is ready. So if you are not just wanting to stand there and hang out around the restaurant, you can like walk into a gift shop, or you can whatever, but it will just it's kind of nice to have that notification process not with a physical person, because those lines for check-in can get kind of long, because a lot of people just opt to go up to the hostess anyway and say, I'm here, and then they have to ask all those questions. So it's kind of a streamlined way to do that.
Yeah. You can also join, some of the restaurants have walk-up options. You can join a walk-up queue if you're kind of close to the restaurant and say, I want to try to get on in line for a walk-up option for dining. That can happen in the app. And same with notifications, with mobile orders as well. It will pop up and say, it's almost time to dine. Click I'm here when you're ready. And then when your food is ready, it will pop up and say, your mobile order's ready. Go to window 4 to pick it up. So all of that sort of stuff pops up. You get notifications, allow those notifications, allow your GPS while you're in the park, all of those things, because that will help you to be able to navigate better.
Okay, let's talk for just a second about like what you need to have done on your app before you arrive in the parks. The major thing is going to be your tickets. So if you buy your tickets through Getaway Today, and we help you book them, or you book them on our link, Getaway Today will send you your tickets. They'll come in individual sheets does it come in one attachment though? It's one attachment, I think, but it's like several pages. So if you've got 6 people, you should have 6 separate barcodes, one for each person. That will be your tickets. So you scan those and you go to just the main ticket area on the app. You're going to scan those and upload them to your app. And I think at that point you can assign names to all of them. You
Mm-hmm.
can change those names if you need to up until the point in which you scan into the park for your first day. And once you do that, then your ticket is attached to your name and they take a picture of you, and there's no like transferring that ticket
Mm-hmm.
at that point. But so that's the first major thing. That's like kind of your gateway into starting to use the app is download it when you get your tickets, upload your tickets, give them to your partner. You can share tickets across. You can put your kids as tickets if you've got teens and stuff that want to have access to that. You can put those same tickets on multiple people's apps. So that's the primary thing. And then the other thing that you really want to kind of mess around with, and the hard part about this is that you can't really do it until you have it, is Genie Plus or Lightning Lane Multipass. So Lightning Lane Multipass, unlike mobile orders and stuff where you can sort of like go through the process of like scheduling the thing and checking out and whatever and then just cancel your order. You can't really do that. You have to wait until you have it. So this is a great time to look up a YouTube video talking about Lightning Lane and explaining how to buy it and explaining what to do, because that's something that you really don't want to have to teach yourself on the fly at 8 a.m. on your first day, you know?
Yeah, we do have a YouTube video about how we did this recently with buying Genie Plus in the park, selecting your rides, or lightning lanes, selecting your lightning lanes, all of that sort of stuff. So just go back into our YouTube channel, double check it, watch that video. It's really, really helpful.
Because you want to know how to do that.
Yes.
And that's something that's harder to explain theoretically, and it's a major part of using the app.
Yeah.
Is that feature.
The one thing, backing up a little bit, about once you've got all your tickets uploaded, this is where you're going to now go in and make park reservations. You can select, once you have all your tickets in there, there's a little plus sign at the bottom. It says you can select make park reservations. It will take you actually into a browser, because you do that on the Disneyland website, not in the app. Technically, you're going to go in, you're going to log in, same login account for your app as for online and across all Disney services. If you have already created an account, that's going to be your same account. So you're going to log in, you're going to make your park reservations, because that's really, really important. Disneyland, you still need park reservations for every day that you want to be in the park. Unless you've booked your trip like a year in advance, like you can pretty much, once you get your tickets, go in and make your park reservations, select what day you want to start in each park, and get those secured away so that you know that you have them. We have anxiety, and we tend to typically go back several times in between to make sure everybody has got the reservations. But it's just an important thing to do.
Especially during busier times of the year.
Yeah.
Like Halloween, Christmas, spring break, 4th of July weekend. You want to kind of snag those, because those tend to be the ones that actually run out of reservations.
And one other quick thing to note just about tickets: if you do get tickets with us with Getaway Today, if you have a layaway plan, you will not get your tickets sent to you until you have paid off your layaway plan. So just keep that in mind. If you're worried about like dates and stuff that may be disappearing, like if you're going over busy time, try to get that layaway plan paid off as quick as possible, because then we can release tickets to you and you can get those reservations.
Right. Good point. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I was just thinking about, and now I don't remember, is, you said park reservations. Oh, the wait times. This is the other one that I really wanted to hit, is the app will be your best friend in terms of ride closures, how long waits are, and you can like literally refresh and it will update those wait times basically, as they're happening. So that's a really great resource. And it's actually another thing that is a good thing to practice before you go, for two reasons. One, you can figure out where things are in the park. You can figure out what the typical wait times is for things. And also you can, figure out how to maneuver that. But knowing what the typical wait times are on any given day, like look on a Monday morning, look on a Saturday, or whatever the days you're going to actually be there, go look and sort of make notes in your brain of what looks typical. If Indiana Jones says 40 minutes pretty consistently, then when you get to the park, if it says 90 minutes, it's not the time to go on Indiana Jones. But if you just get there, you have no reference point for that. If you haven't done any sort of research or like kind of prepping for that, 90 minutes might sound really normal.
Like, okay. I've always heard Indiana Jones has a long
line. Yeah. And same thing with like all the kiddie rides. Like if you look and you see that something is typically 10 minutes and it says 30, or it's typically 30 and it says 10 when you're there, that that's a time to go get on it. So it can really, a little bit of research and prep with that app can help you more than just when you're like physically using it. It can help your mindset as you're trying to kind of get a feel for what's normal and what's typical.
And it's a really easy thing to do before your trip. Just like when you're hanging out on the couch, just look around a little bit. Look at what the wait times are. Look what you can expect. And just have that in your brain a little bit.
And even just familiarizing yourself with the lay of the land is helpful. Like kind of getting a feel of, okay, I know that Guardians of the Galaxy is in DCA over on this side. I know that if I want to go get that snack at Boardwalk Pizza, it's going to be back here at the back of whatever. Like just kind of, so you spend less time doing that, wasting your battery in the park, standing around trying to figure out what to do in the park or what your next move is. And we are big advocates for not over planning your trip. And this is one way that you can actually prevent yourself from over planning, because you won't feel tied or like you won't be using a schedule as a crutch, because you'll be able to more intuitively be like, this looks right next, this looks wrong. And you can't do that if you've just like written out everything you want to do and you're just gonna like follow it along because you don't have a reference point. So that's a big deal. I think that's a huge tool in the app that will make a difference. So
I've done this a lot on other theme parks that have been new to me. Like even when I went to Disney World for the first time, when I've been to SeaWorld, I went and like looked at that map and I was walking along watching my little blue dot like move and be like, do I go right or do I go left? Like what's my best path here? I was doing that sort of stuff, which is like so aggravating.
You don't want to do that
and
then.
so much a waste of your like effort and time
and battery.
And if you could feel just a little bit more like, oh no, I mean, and you can double check. You don't have to like memorize.
No, it's not.
You don't have to be the map.
Well, because even when you're not there, you might get like a basic lay of the land, but you're not going to have any context for distance is the big thing. So you might think that something seems right next to something else, and really there's like a whole stretch of space between it, and that's something that comes with a little bit of just growing pains. You won't really know that until you're there, but at least knowing you're heading in the right direction makes a big difference. You don't want to walk your whole family to the left side of the park if you're meant to go right, and you can prevent a lot of that. And even bigger than that, like I said, is just having some intuition for the wait times, because I just feel like that will save you. It will save you. So those things. What else do we want to talk about with the app? We talked about wait times. We talked about mobile ordering. Talked about getting your phone or your tickets uploaded. DAS is one that we haven't really delved into.
It's kind of its own beast in a lot of ways. It works very similarly to Lightning Lane Multipass. You schedule your ride ahead of time, but you schedule it based on like what the current wait time is, more than like picking a return time. Yeah. So if you're like, I want to ride Guardians, and it currently has a 60-minute wait, it will schedule you to return in 60 minutes. So it's basically like you did the wait without actually having to stand in the line. So that's the difference that you're going to see on DAS. It also includes rides that aren't on the normal Lightning Lane Multipass. You can do it for all the rides in the park. So you can do that for things like Peter Pan and like the other rides. So that's the little bit difference. There's a whole system of how to get approved for DAS and all of that, which you're going to need to go to the Disneyland website to figure out if you qualify. It's not just about your physical capabilities anymore. It's very, very complicated at this point.
Yeah, it's very much based on what your capability of standing in a line is, and more really in relation to your mental ability to do that than your physical ability. And I think part of that is because Disneyland has worked to create a lot more ADA accessible rides. There's a lot of rides, even like what they're doing with Haunted Mansion right now with that big queue update, is in an attempt to make that more accessible all the way through.
If you can't stand in the line, you can ride your scooter through the line. If you can do that, then they're not necessarily going to be approving you. Has been really frustrating for people. We totally get that. I've had conversations with several people about this, just trying to get a better grasp for the nuance of it, because it's luckily not something that we
have had to apply for, but there's so many people that's trip is affected by this. So that is something, even though it's not directly related to the app, it is related to doing things in advance of your trip and really making sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. You don't want to show up the day of and have to like go try to figure out how to qualify for DAS. That's something you need to do in advance. And if that's important to you and you think you might need to qualify for that either for your own reasons or one of your kids, just make sure that you are going to the Disneyland website and prioritizing that and figuring out then how to manage that process within the app.
Yes.
So,
and there's cast members all over. All the umbrellas that you see with cast members underneath of them throughout the park, they are there for those quick fixes and needs and adjusting your desk and different things like that. So if you ever have any issues like that, utilize those cast members. They're in plaid. They are ready to help with all those types of issues.
Yeah, and they do a lot of DAS, but they also are there for people who just have a quick question, like maybe your Lightning Lane multipass isn't loading right. Maybe you have a dining reservation that won't seem to cancel on your app for some reason. There's a lot of back-end stuff they can help you with just as a regular guest with a random question. So anytime you see those, use them, and they're really helpful. I feel like almost every question I've ever gone to them for has been app related. So that does fall under this category of conversation. They're really good at that, and they have more ability to fix things on their end than sometimes you have on your app. Other than that, I feel like, there's like characters. You can see where to see characters. There's a map. One thing to note is at the bottom of your app, there's like a little, or is it at the top? The little arrow where you can adjust what you're searching for. I think it's at the top. So there's a little drop down arrow and you can select if you're looking for instance, restaurants or bathrooms or baby centers or hotels or
dining.
So when you select that, it clears everything else out of the way and only shows you the thing you're looking for. So if you click the character one, it will populate all the places that you can find characters and when they're showing up or what their schedule is like.
Which is helpful, but I also feel like it's not been as helpful lately.
It's not
like I feel
always
like
accurate.
The characters roam so much. There's places where that you can always find characters, but if you're looking for a specific character, they don't always promise characters every day. They don't say there's a couple places that like, for instance, Anna and Elsa are always at the close-up at the Animation Academy. That's where they go. That's where they are. But like the princesses at the Royal Hall, you don't even know who's going to be there until you actually go in. They don't even tell you who's in there because they're rotating them through that by the time you get up to the front, they don't actually know who's going to be in there for you anyway. So there's certain things that they just don't promise. You can always find Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Donald and Daisy and Chip and Dale up at the front of Main Street.
In some form or another.
Rotating throughout the day. And they can actually usually give you a pretty good idea if somebody's coming out or, you know, like...
And it is another question for cast members, like, that you'll see them they wear these little polos that sort of have, like, animated characters on them. Those are the character cast members. It usually says, like, ask me about a character. They have, like, a little badge that says that. They can't, like Brenton says, they can't promise things to you, but they can give you sort of like a... sort of like the other day we were wondering who was coming out next and he's like, I don't know, but I think it might be a certain cow that everyone loves, and it's Clarabelle, he wouldn't like flat out be like, Clarabelle's coming in 10 minutes, because even backstage there could be things going on that maybe he thinks it's Clarabelle, but that's not who ends up walking out, and they really don't ever want to promise anything that they can't deliver on. But when it comes to characters, you can use that as a guide. If it's wrong, it's wrong, but at least you have kind of an idea of even what areas to kind of keep your eyes peeled for people. And like Britton says, there's typical characters that you can almost find every day. Like Fantasyland almost always has the Mad Hatter and Alice at some point, Captain Hook at some point, Peter Pan and Wendy at some point, and mostly in the morning. Like really often in the morning you'll find those ones. And then Tinkerbell's always at Pixie Hollow, or not always, but when that's open, it's Tinkerbell.
Up in Toontown, you're always going to find Mickey and Minnie at their houses. They often have, Daisy and Clarabelle and Pete roaming around and stuff. So,
Chip and Dale.
You kind of know about what to expect, but they just don't make promises.
No.
because their schedule is kind of out there. And really, honestly, a good chunk of some of the magic of Disney is all of a sudden running into some character that's wandering around. And Disneyland, even more than places like Disney World, they have a lot of roaming characters, more than is typical.
There's not a lot of like meet and greet lines, really.
There's a lot of ability to see them, and if not, you can wait for a parade. There's options to see people, and again, always ask cast members. Be like, what is my best chance of seeing Tiana? My daughter really wants to see Tiana, and they can help
kind of guide you,
figure out what's the best thing.
Well, and really, the moral of this entire podcast episode is essentially, even though it's really good to be prepared and do all the work that you can in advance, it's also really important to be flexible. It's also really important to realize that the things that we're saying right now, or the things that you've practiced on your app, may not be exactly what you expect when you get there, whether that's the characters, whether that's parades being canceled or fireworks being canceled, whether that is not getting the reservation you want, whatever the thing is, or even just having technical difficulties, like your ticket's not loading or your app being weird, and now you're relying on it because Danny and Britton said you need your app and it's not loading. What do? That you allow yourself to feel the permission to pivot when necessary. That this isn't your like one and only way to have a good day is the app working exactly like you anticipate it, because it's a piece of technology that is not super reliable and that thousands of people are using at the same time.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of be able to rely a little bit on the whole like analog system at the same time. Get in your brain your backup plans and the things that you know, and then let the app be a tool for that, but don't let it be a crutch, because that's when you're in trouble.
But at least if you've prepared and you know different things that have happened, or how about to do things, and if your only option is to go wait in line for food somewhere, go wait in line.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. No.
Find a new place to eat.
Cancel it. Starve.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna find yourself in some random line at some point, whether it's to get app help or to wait for food or whatever's the thing. Like, it's not gonna be perfect. It's just gonna help. And you gotta let it help and not let it be your like live or die situation. So I think that's really the moral of the app story. It's very important, but don't let it be the most important.
And again, if you have any questions with the app, with scheduling your trip, with any of those things, we are here and ready and willing to help with all of those things. We're happy to help you book your trip, find the right hotel and ticket type, and adding
time
or
of
not
year.
adding lightning lane to your ticket, all of those things. We're happy to help get those things scheduled for you. So send us a message, fill out a quote form. We're happy to help with any and all of those things. So thanks for being here.